Regroup or retreat? Russia announces a major change of strategy, narrowing its focus to the east of Ukraine. Good morning. It is Saturday, the 26th of March. Our top story today, Russia's army says its first phase of its military campaign in Ukraine is over, and it will now shift its focus to the eastern Donbass region.
In his latest address, President Zelensky said that Ukrainian troops have dealt powerful blows to Russian forces, and he urged them to engage in serious peace talks. Graham Satchell has this report.
The front line on the northern outskirts of Kyiv and destruction. Burnt-out Russian tanks. It is further evidence that in places, Ukrainian forces are not just fighting back, they're winning. The Russians might try to come back, says this Ukrainian commander, but I don't think we'd let them through. We have let them know who the Ukrainian armed forces are. In Moscow, an announcement and what looks like a change of strategy. Sergei Rutskoy from the Russian General Staff says the first stage of their operation is now complete, and Russia will focus on its main goal, the liberation of Donbass. Driving into Mariupol, the most bombed city in this war, it is apocalyptic. Almost every building has been hit. If the Russians are changing tack, it means they'll concentrate even more of their firepower in this part of Ukraine, the south and the east. And it means more terror for the residents here. In Lviv in the west, a train arrives with people who've escaped from Mariupol. The testimony, shocking.
I have never seen such horror. There is no Mariupol. There are no hospitals, there is no theatre, no galleries, nothing. Everything is destroyed. Houses are destroyed. It is a horror.
Збройні сили продовжують відбиватись від атак ворога на півдні.
In his nightly address, the Ukrainian president urged the Russians to talk.
Стримуючи російські дії, наші захисники і захисниці.
By restraining Russia's actions, our defenders are leading the Russian leadership to a simple and logical idea. Talk is necessary, meaningful, urgent, fair. We need a result, not delay.
Тягнути час.
This is Kharkiv in the northeast of Ukraine. It has seen repeated, devastating bombardment since the beginning of the war. On the street in Kharkiv, Denis Karahevtsev plays a Bach cello suite. It is a defiant moment of calm in the destruction. As this war enters what may be a new phase, there is still no certainty about Russia's exact intentions or how long this conflict will go on. Graham Satchell, BBC News.
Let's go live to Ukraine. Our correspondent Jonah Fisher is in Lviv this morning. Jonah, morning to you. Thank you for being with us this morning. What's this likely to mean, this seeming change in the Russian strategy likely to mean for the country there?
Yeah, it's very interesting from Russia. Now, I think we need to first put a very important caveat in about this Russian announcement yesterday, that a lot of what Russia has said surrounding the run-up to this war, indeed the conduct of the war itself, has turned out simply not to be true. And indeed, yesterday, the Russians were trying to say that this was all part of a strategy, that their failed attempts to take Kiev and Kharkiv, because that's very clearly what happened in those cities, that was all part of a strategy to draw Ukraine's fire away from eastern Ukraine, which is where the main goal is. But parking all that to one side for a moment, if we take this at face value, this could be Russia's attempt to reframe the war, to provide itself with a way out, effectively, to basically give itself parameters whereby it can sell a win to the Russian people, which doesn't involve taking control of Kiev, Kharkiv and the rest of the country. If they can convince the Russian people that by simply taking parts of eastern Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk, these areas just near the Russian border, is a win for Russia, then it potentially means that we won't see a war that encompasses the whole country, that Russia will not attempt to take all of Ukraine. But look, That's if we take it all at face value. Much of what Russia has said about this war so far has to be taken with a huge pinch of salt.
Yeah, big caveats. Jonah, thank you very much indeed. Could be a watershed moment.
Now, also in Lviv, our correspondent Lucy Williamson. She's been speaking to residents there who have been sending specialist equipment to soldiers on the front line.
High above the battlefield, drones film potential targets. Support from a distance, so important in this war. Whether it's weapons arriving from Western nations or drones like this one, personally delivered to order by friends at home. Until a month ago, Vlad ran a start-up company in Lviv. Now he ships body armour, drones and rifle scopes to volunteer fighters around Kyiv. He's faster than governments or NGOs, he says. This week, he's delivering 145 body armour plates to Irpin.
We have like a lot of friends who actually fight now in front line, and they don't have like great ammunition. Actually, they don't have anything. They have like a strong motivation to fight, but they don't have like ammunition and some another military stuff.
Vlad gets his supplies from Germany, Poland and the Czech Republic. Yulia just joins the queue at her local gun shop. A psychologist with a friend on the front line. It's her first time here.
I tried to help a bit with ammunition to my friend who is currently is Ukrainian army, and we know that a lot of staff around the world focused on support our army, but as well we as individuals try to help.
These new supply networks are typical of Lviv at the moment, the light touch of a war that's largely out of sight. Life here in Lviv can seem pretty normal if you ignore the sandbags and the boarded up windows. The restaurants are open, at least until the air raid sirens begin, and the streets are crowded with people enjoying the spring weather. More crowded than usual, actually, because of the 200,000 people who've come here to avoid the fighting in the east. The war comes back to Lviv in coffins. This is Igor, killed during the first few days of the conflict in Donetsk. This is his mother, and this his twin brother, grasping a war that's not seen but felt. Lucy Williamson, BBC News, Lviv.
Let's have a look at the front pages this morning. As Rachel said, the insides are talking a bit about the possibility of snow next week, but the front page is very much still focused on Ukraine. The Times looking at the fact that it says that Russia is retreating and will now focus its invasion on the southeastern Donbass region after its forces suffered setbacks across the country.
The Express carries this image of the author J.K. Rowling, who has hit back at the Russian President Vladimir Putin after he made some quite bizarre comments, actually, comparing the treatment of his country by the West to the criticism she's faced over her views on trans rights.